All right, we come to a time where we're going to celebrate, and we're going to let folks get comfortable, and maybe you might even want to take off the choir robe. It would be okay at this point if you wanted to do that. This is the Sunday that we have decided to call Celebration Sunday, and we thought that there are an awful lot of ministries that our church does that most people might not be aware of. So we're going to start out, and we're going to tie it together with two things. With Scripture, that's always a good thing to tie it together with, and with a song. So what we're going to do is, to start this out, we're going to turn to and sing, "We Are the Church," right? That's right, we are the church. And we're just going to sing the refrain, and then we're going to sing verse 1, and then we're going to stop. And then we're going to hear a little bit about the ministry that we do. So, as Tammy is ferociously switching from Media Shout to PowerPoint, there we are. There's the refrain. There's the first verse. Melissa will lead us into it, and we'll sing it together. Church of people, you ask? Remember what Jesus said in Luke 18? He called the children to him and he said, "Let the little children come to me, and don't ever hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to just such as these." So let's hear a little bit about what goes on in Brewerton in our child care ministry. Beth, come on up here. This is Beth Chasen, a daughter of our congregation who you probably know. And Beth has been the director for, how many months now?
9.
9 months. Gee, there's a lot that happens in 9 months. You did not give birth to a child care program. It was already here. Beth's going to tell us a little bit about the child care program.
So we've been through a lot in the past 9 months. There was a lot of growing to do. I am excited to say that because of the program that we implemented in the preschool room, our preschool program is full, and we actually have a waiting list for that program now. And in just a couple short weeks, 3 actually, we will have a full infant room as well. When I started, it was just my daughter in the infant room, who will be a year next Friday. And now we're going to have 8 beautiful babies in that classroom to take care of. So we are excited that the way things are going. We still have some growth we could do, but as you can see, we've been able to do some great things. We had a very successful Halloween event, and we had the spaghetti dinner and caroling, and we saw just about 100% increase in parent involvement in both of those activities this year. Parents that had never participated in anything before came to me and said, that they were very grateful that we were putting these things on, and that they finally felt comfortable coming to those programs. So there we are. So we're very excited the way that the program is heading. We're excited to implement a new program for the summer this year, which we will be rolling out on February 1st to all of our families.
Great. Thanks, Beth. Now, here's another piece of scripture that you need to hear. This one comes from Matthew 25. "Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?' And the king will answer them, 'Truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these, who are members of my family, you did it to me.'" Now we're going to listen to what happens in the food pantry. Deb's going to tell us about that. You've got props, Deb.
Yeah, not really. Good morning, everyone. Most of you know that the food pantry is housed right here in this building. And the food pantry is a mission of our church and 2 other churches here in Brewerton. We're combined with Divine Mercy of Brewerton and the Calvary Baptist Church to bring the true meaning to the community food pantry, because it is a community effort, and it is, we serve those in need. But I like to think of it as more than just food. Food is what brings people to us, but I think what we try to provide them is with other programs and nurturing environment that makes them feel welcome. Among those things, if you look ahead, the bread table, we do a bread ministry with people. They can come in anytime the pantry's open and help themselves to bread. We provide a healthy, most times, snack to everyone that comes in, so that while they're waiting for their number to be called and entrance into the food pantry, they can have some fellowship and some good hot meal, and featuring some of our beautiful food from the food pantry. And I was hoping I'd have a special guest to you to show you this morning, or introduce you to this morning, but she's under the weather today. Her name is Amy, and part of our mission is brought to us by Amy. She was a former pantry client. She and her mom live over at Bayshore, and they had mounting bills, hospital bills and medical bills, because they both suffer from different conditions. And they found themselves unable to pay their bills. They just didn't know what to do. They started coming to the food pantry. Amy developed a love for coupons somehow. And coupons brought her a whole new life. And basically, she came to me and said, I have an idea that I'd like to share with the other pantry clients. And I said, that would be terrific. So she is the founder of our coupon table that sits proudly in our fellowship room during pantry hours. And she even has contests with people of who can save the most in coupons. So I was hoping that Amy would be able to be here so that you could see her smiling face. But that is an example of going beyond food for our clients, and something as simple as couponing. And what it does for Amy is it makes her feel like she can give back. And I have 39 volunteers that work in various stages of our mission. And I have to tell you, yeah, it's amazing. And from unloading the food truck from the food bank to the grocery rescue truck, which brings us fresh produce on Saturday mornings and Monday nights, to doing our wonderful work with our Girl Scout troops, our Boy Scout troops, the crop walk. It is more than just food on the shelves. I think what we've been able to develop, thanks to all of you here in this congregation who open your doors, you open your hearts, and you open your minds to people who are less fortunate. And in doing so, we get so much in return. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone here for all the support you've shown to the food pantry over the years that we've been in existence here. It is a true mission of this church, but it goes beyond, and it takes a village, and the village starts here. So thank you.
All right, it's time to sing again. We're going to sing the refrain and the second verse of I Am the Church. I am the church, you are the church. Up until 2 years ago, we did ministry in one community here, and that was in Brewerton. And a couple of years ago, the opportunity to look at expanding our ministry to a whole new community started. And the Brewerton United Methodist Church, come right up here, friends, actually became owners of our South Campus, which used to be called Calvary United Methodist Church. And some of the great folks from Calvary are now a part of the life of our congregation. That building is now called the Path of Life Mission Center. And Peg is kind of our building manager, and Pat works in the clothing closet ministry, and they're going to tell us a little bit about what happens at Path of Life.
Thank you. Besides coming here, my heart is also in the Path of Life. For the clothing closet, there are many things that happen at the Path of Life, but my two favorite ones are, number one, the clothing closet. We service all kinds of people. You all donate clothing and linens and housewares, and it gets put out on the shelves, and the next thing you know, it's gone. So continue to bring things in. The other wonderful thing that's been happening since then is those who come to the clothing closet for something are now bringing bags of stuff. We've had many women who will bring huge bags of baby clothes, which, as all of my people will attest, that they go out, they disappear. And it's like, we'll put something out one day, and by the weekend, they're gone. And it's, wait a minute, that shelf was full. What's going on here? There's also many stories that people have told me over the time. One is a woman came in and got a winter coat for her son. And she said, you know, if I didn't get this winter coat here, I couldn't buy groceries this week. And it's like, wow, I never thought of it that way. The other one was somebody had donated some formal dresses. And last spring, several young ladies came in and said, wow, we need this and we don't have the money to buy it, or our parents don't have the money to buy it. And they were just so grateful. So we have many very positive things happening there. I invite all of you to come down, but I'd like Pat to share her Wednesday nights events.
On Wednesday nights, I get there, it doesn't open until 6, but I get there about 5:45, and I may have 8 to 10 people waiting at the door to come in. And they are so grateful that we are there. And I thank all of you guys here that help us. Awesome.
Now, my second thing is the community dinner. And I know every month I stand up with my clipboard and I say, I need this or I need that. The community dinner started in 2012, and it was just the Calvary people. And of course, that was only 10 people. And we got very tired. We got really worn out trying to make enough food for even 50 people, which is what we were having at that point. And we were very blessed that Cicero United Methodist Church decided to help us. Now, in 2012, we weren't part of Brewerton. We were just Calvary Church at that point. And so when Pastor Jack came as a pastor and we became part of Brewerton, you all helped also, as well as Cicero. And we moved down to the Salinas Civic Center because we thought we could draw more people. And we did. There was one time when we had 100 people. And I'll tell you, the Path of Life workers were just so shocked. Then we turned around and went back to the Path of Life. We haven't had 100 people, but we had 90 almost all the time. And the workers, the people have said that this feels more like home, being at the Path of Life. And so I really appreciate everyone donating, even if it's only one box of au gratin potatoes or putting together one cake mix. I know it gets kind of boring to hear me stand up and ask for something, but I really, really appreciate it. Now, Pat sits at the entryway, and so she's our greeter. So she can tell you some of the comments she gets as coming in and going out.
People will ask me, what are we having today? And I'll tell them, and they'll say, good. And when it comes to stone soup, people love that. And on the way out, no matter what they've had to eat for that meal, they always say thank you, and you put on a very good dinner. So we also thank you for that.
The other thing I want to mention, in both cases we have donation boxes, and for the community dinner we get almost as much back as we get to buy, like the supplies, the paper products and things like that. In the clothing closet, we've actually, one person put in a $50 bill, which I was totally shocked at. But that's helped us to keep the place neat and tidy. We painted one time and things like that. So in both cases, the ones who are coming in also give back. There are other groups that use the Path of Life. Of course, the Mattydale History Group, they are very grateful for a space to store history from Mattydale. And if you do come down for the community dinner, not necessarily to work, but to eat, the history room is usually open. The other is we have an adult Bible study that meets on the first and third Tuesday of every month. It's during the day at 1 o'clock, so some of you who work can't do it. We have the Women's Missions Circle, which meets on the second Thursday at 1 o'clock. There's also 2 AA groups, and there are 2 New Start ministries. One is the Karenni, who they're mainly Laotian. They worship on Sunday from 10 to 12, and then the Sudanese worship from 2 to 5. So the building is so much more busy than it ever was when it was Calvary Church. And it's because all of you have been there to help us. Thank you.
I read these words in 1 Thessalonians. Therefore, encourage one another and build up each other, as indeed you're doing. And we do that at the Path of Life Center every day. All right, we're going to sing another refrain and another verse of We Are the Church. Right? I am church, you are church, we are church together. All about Jesus, all around the world. Yes, we're church together. Sometimes the church is marching, sometimes it's bravely burning, sometimes it's fighting, sometimes hiding, always it's learning. Do you know in the book of Genesis, in the 28th chapter, Adam said these words, "How awesome is this place? There is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven." We're going to hear about some work that the trustees accomplished this year here at our Brewerton campus, and Craig's going to tell us about that.
And thank you once again for coming to my birthday party. It's funny that trustees would be asked to talk because the trustees aren't doing ministry, but what we are doing is supporting the ministry, because if we can't keep the operation running, then it's a little hard to open the doors to let people in. You've heard about this first one often. That was a picture of Colin. I wish he was here today so I could rib him a little bit. But last year, Colin spent a lot of time emptying water pails and buckets and trays as the roof leaked like crazy in 5 places. And this year it doesn't so far. And so we thank God for the fact that we were able to put a new roof on the building, all but the sanctuary so far. So that's the first one. The second one is the heat exchanger replacement we made in one of the outdoor units for the child care. I mean, you might say big deal, but what was really nice about this one was we caught it during a routine inspection in the summer. And so we were able to change it, have it fixed and working for this winter. Remember 2 years ago when we had the carbon monoxide problem in the building and all of the hassle that created? Well, we didn't have to put up with that this year since we were able to catch that early. The next one, and we wouldn't normally put a boy to work like that. We'd make sure he had his pants on. And look at Beth back there. She's scared to death. No, we did not use any of the child care to mop the floor. But we have had a storm drainage problem on that side of the building. And so we completed phase 1 this year, and that was putting new drainage tile and drains along the edge of the building to grab the rainwater before it runs underneath the wall. We've got some more to do on that, and that is to make sure the integrity of the storm drain running way out into the ditches is good. And we'll be doing that in the spring. Next one is the new fresh look to the hallway entrance, the narthex, and the child care rooms. Thank you to everyone who painted on the 4th of July weekend in the child care and different weekends in here. And a special thank you to Chelsea Allen, who just happens to be here today, for making that beautiful cross that is down in our hallway as you enter. It's always good to make the church look warmer as people come in and look nice and try to stay away from that institutional look, you know. So we think we've done a nice job on making the place look a little bit more appealing this year. And then lastly, I think for the Brewerton area was we've done a phase 1 of an accessibility audit. That is to look at all of the accessibility of the building for anyone with a walker, a wheelchair, just walks maybe a little slow. And so far, what we've done is just changed up the parking this year and put in additional handicap parking spots and new signs and that apron so you can get in and out of the side door there a little bit easier. And so that was done mostly early in the summer. And then at the Path of Life, the picture on the left there is the garage that fell apart on Mother's Day this year. And nobody wanted to park in that after it took on that shape. But that picture next to it on the right is yesterday, I believe. The garage was replaced at the Path of Life through our insurance settlement. So it didn't cost us a cent. The door is yet to be put on this week. But it's a brand new addition to the Path of Life, a brand new 2-car garage. And lastly, we did have a little trouble heating the Path of Life this year. Those are the 3 boilers, but we were able to get some warranty work done and put some funds into it from the Path of Life funds, and all 3 boilers are now up and running. And so Peg and Pat are nice and cozy and warm down there. And so thanks, that's some of the things the trustees have been able to do this year to keep the place up and running.
As Craig mentioned, that work at the boilers down there came out of the Path of Life Fund. Path of Life finances are kept entirely separate from the finances at the Brewerton United Methodist Church, and those are kept entirely separate from the finances of the child care program. They all operate as independent, I don't want to use the word profit centers, but independent books. Okay, we keep separate books for each of those organizations so that we're sure that we're taking care of our obligations all the way around. Now, there's a great piece of scripture in Malachi that says, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house." And then God says, "Test me in this, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." Well, we're going to hear a little bit on our 2015 finance update from the person who's been keeping the door open so that there wouldn't be room to store it.
All right, finance, not always a happy subject, but we have a lot of things to be proud of for 2015. As you can see up there, we did pay all our bills for 2015. And I know it looks like a negative number for you people that are finance people. I should have taken the parentheses out, but we did slide into 2016 with $337 in the bank. That is to be celebrated. This next slide is on the right. It's kind of small, but last year when we do our stewardship campaign, we get your cards all in. We get an amount that people have pledged. We pad it a little bit because sometimes people forget to bring their pledge cards in, and so that number is always a little bit higher. Well, 2015, we actually overshot that number by 3,500, so that's very much a test to you guys wanting to keep this ministry moving. In even smaller print, which I can't read, but the blue part of that bar chart up there is the pledged income. That is the amount of our total income that comes just from pledges. And then the red part is from all the other income that comes into the building. And listed below, you can see where most of the percentages are coming from to make up the rest of it to get to our total income. Next slide. Come May, if you remember, May or June, I stood up and talked about the fact that I was unable to pay a full mortgage payment for May. So in talking, we came up with this tree bill adoption program where you could take leaves off. You might remember off in the hallway you could take a leaf off or an acorn off and help pay some of the bills to get through some rough time in the summer. And that just shows we actually brought in $9,000, and actually it should be $93. And those are the amounts that people actually gave. And I did that, same as Path of Life, like Jack was saying, that money went into a fund and didn't get paid until I needed that money. So it doesn't just go into a general slush fund. If you asked for it to go to the mortgage, it went to the mortgage. So that was a great help during the summer. And then the next one is, of course, the expenses. And thanks to the flexibility of everybody, the finance team, the administrative council made some cuts. As you notice, our bulletins are not colorful anymore. We changed the way we do newsletters. We had our utility bill cut quite a bit. So we've done a lot of expense cutting on that side. But for a general rule, we need $15,500 a month to come in order to keep our expenses up to date. And if you read the bottom, which is encouraging to me, is the first half of the year, 2 of the 6 months, we weren't hitting $15,000 a month. But the second half of the year, after we made that plea that we want to keep this ministry going, people really stepped up, and 5 of the 6 last months, we made the $15,000 that we needed in a month to keep current. And then the last one, I think, is the stewardship campaign, which happens October, November time. And the results were also very encouraging to the finance team. 18 people took a step up in their giving. That could be anything from $1 a week to more than that. But taking a step up shows the finance team that there is commitment to our church. We got 12 new pledges and a total of 54 pledges, and I think that's about an increase of 6 additional pledges quite well. And we're on our way to great ministry here in Brewerton. And I think the last one is the good old shared ministry, which is one of those things that everybody really doesn't know too much about, but that's how much the conference bills us for that part. $21,024 this year. They actually lowered it to $21,000 for next year, a whole $24, so we're hopeful for that, we're thankful for that. But what pays the bill? That's the one thing that everybody kind of doesn't really know how that gets paid. 10% of every fundraiser that goes on in this church, right off the top, goes right to shared ministries. So that's that number that we got there. If you mark on your offering envelope that you want it to go to shared ministries, that's where it goes. It doesn't go into a general fund, it goes into shared ministries. And all the bottles and cans that Ed bring back, that's the other amount. Those 3 things go to shared ministries. The balance of that, which was quite a bit this year, is paid through the general fund, and that's why sometimes it doesn't get paid every month. We started off slow. I didn't even make a decent payment until July of this year, but we finished really strong. So that I'm encouraged by, and thank you for all your support of the finance team, and keep up the good work.
All right, I've been asked to tell you a little bit about shared ministries. Sometimes I think shared ministries is one of those areas, if I explain it to you, I got to kill you when I get done, but I'm going to try. Shared ministry is a number, $21,024 in 2015, and people say, where in the heck does $21,000 go? Well, it goes, this is what people look like when you start talking about shared ministries. You go on this, people kind of zoning out on me here. I'm going to try and make shared ministries interesting for you. How's that? Shared ministries, our $21,024 that were our shared ministry commitment for last year, go to support 4 major categories. Okay? Ministerial support, conference connectional ministries, general connectional ministries, and administrative ministries. Pastor, what are you talking about? Well, ministerial support, 34% of the money that we send into the annual conference and shared ministries goes directly for those types of activities on the wall behind me. They support the work of the Board of Ordained Ministry. It takes a look at pastors like me and says, yeah, you can be there, or no, you need to go get a job in retailing or something. They support the operations of our districts. We have 13 districts across New York State in our annual conference. They support the work of the crisis response team. I'm a part of that. And that's a team that's available at the request of the bishop to go into a church when there's a crisis. It may be a crisis with the pastor, it may be a crisis of finances, it may be whatever, and we are deployed by the bishop, and we go in and work with the church or with the pastor and with the congregation to get them through that crisis. The second part of it, the conference connectional ministries, 26% of what we spend goes there, and that supports leadership training. It supports the work of our conference, camps, and retreat ministries. And if any of you have had a chance to be at one of the camp properties across New York State, you know that we have 6 world-class camping operations that this conference is proud to support. And part of our shared ministry money goes to support the work of the conference, camps, and retreat ministries. It also goes for things like congregational development. You know that equitable salary grant that we got last year that we're getting again this year? This is where it comes from churches like us who try to pay their shared ministries. General Connectional Ministries supports the work of the general church. So we're supporting things like Africa University. We're supporting ministerial education done around the world with 21% of our shared ministry dollars. We're supporting Africa 360, which is a campaign that's designed to put malaria nets wherever they're needed in Africa so that we can wipe out malaria. And it also supports jurisdictional and general administration, because there's always people who have to sit behind a desk and administer things. And the work of General Connectional Ministries goes to support some of that. And the fourth area is administrative ministries. A portion of what we send for shared ministries goes to the Board of Trustees. It provides computers for people to use in our conference offices. It goes for communications and operations. You know, when you turn the TV on and it talks about Rethink Church, the people of the United Methodist Church have all seen those commercials on, right? That's part of the administrative ministries that we support when we pay our shared ministries. Now, a little bit of history of our shared ministries here. In 2012, we were able to pay 100% of that shared ministry, and that's great. In 2013, well, we were able to pay 100% of our shared ministries, and that is great. 2 years in a row is wonderful. Last year, 2014, the year before last, we were able to pay 100% of our shared ministries. Are you seeing a pattern develop here, folks? We were one of, I don't know how, it's less than 300 churches who paid 100% 3 years in a row. And that was great in 2014, we finished it. So now, what happens in 2015? How did we end up the year in shared ministries? Well, we need Suzanne Anderson to come up here, please. And we need Tammy to come up here. And let's see, who else serves on our finance ministry here? Ed does. Ed Roundy, you need to come up here too, please. Here, I'll get you a seat so you can sit right there. That's for Ed, he's going to come up. Who else? Gene McChesney's not here. Who else was on our finance team last year? Just these three? These lucky three? Okay, so 2015 is over. Suzanne, you were the chair of our finance team in 2015. Will you unwrap that? And tell the congregation what that says?
We paid 100% in 2015.
We paid 100%. Now, considering we didn't make the first serious payment until July, that's awesome, friends, that we were able to do that. And we did that because the people on our finance team and the people who sit in the congregation have begun to understand what shared ministry spending does. It provides for all those four areas. And some of that money actually comes back to us through the Equitable Salary Grant. So if you need a reason why you're thinking about making a gift to shared ministry, there's a good one. It's coming back to us. We want to thank you for your support of our ministry here in Brewerton through shared ministry, through all that we do. If you have any other questions about shared ministry, don't ask me. I'm just kidding. I have a little brochure I can show you if you want to know more about shared ministry. I'd be glad to share that with you. It's time for us to sing another refrain and verse of I Am the Church. Because there's lots of other ministry that goes on here than the ones that you heard about before. Deb's going to tell us a little bit. Deb did this really interesting experiment to go on our website and look at the calendar.
Yes, we're sitting here today. It's Sunday morning, going into the afternoon, and we'll all enjoy the luncheon afterwards. But I wanted everyone here to know what goes on in the week in the life of our church, because Sunday is only one day out of 7, as we know. And there's a lot of things, as you can see here, that are blocked out. Starting with Monday, we have a Zumba for Missions resistance training that takes place here on Mondays. And I have to segue to that to say that Zumba for Missions is also a proud supporter of our with personal care items that we share with our clients on every time they come in. So they are doing a mission of our church and our pantry and getting into good shape as a result of that. Also, Twilight Stitchers use this building on Mondays for their meetings and all their stitchery and their quilt making. So you can come in here on a Monday and you can see lines of sewing machines and people just having a great time making these wonderful quilts. So, and also late at night on Monday, after 10 o'clock, I have a crew of pantry volunteers that deliver the Panera bread from Monday night. So that all takes place behind the scenes. Nobody really sees that happening. Then on Tuesdays, the doors open bright and early at 8 o'clock for our pantry, and they stay open until about 1 o'clock with all the various things that I mentioned before. Then we have, and on Tuesdays, every third Tuesday, as part of our pantry, we have a Healthy Families counselor that comes in and provides information and referrals to our pantry clients. Then at night, yoga with Linda, so you can get into the yoga spirit on Tuesdays. And we have a Girl Scout troop that meets in our choir room on Tuesday nights. So that's Tuesday, right? So what happens on Wednesdays? Well, here it goes. Wednesdays, on a monthly basis, we have blood drives. We have the senior luncheon that takes place. They cook a wonderful luncheon and provide it to 80-some seniors in the Brewerton area every month. And then Zumba toning takes place, and that's all on Wednesday. Phew, is anybody tired? The door is like a revolving door. It's amazing. Thursdays, if you get up bright and early, you can go to the chair Zumba class, which Tammy also does. And then at noon, we change everything around in the fellowship room to get ready for our pantry. And it becomes the farmer's market of Brewerton when we get the fresh produce in from the truck on Thursday afternoons, and we get ready for all the pantry. All the bread lines up, and we have our giveaways and our coupon table. Then we have the choir and the praise band that practice here. And we have a pig farmer who comes and takes all of the old produce and stale bread with him. So there's activity outside. There's a big truck that rolls in, and I tell you, it's amazing. And thank goodness we have a great parking lot for that. We have a great facility for all these things that are happening, you know, accessibility for people in wheelchairs, walkers, all things. So we are very, very grateful and thankful to the trustees that we have a roof over our head that doesn't leak, some great sidewalks and our plowing service and all the things that go into making it a beautiful church. Then we're up to Fridays, and the second and fourth weeks are Food Sense, so we do a Food Sense program here. The second Friday in our kitchen, we have a group that are making sandwiches for the Assumption Food Pantry and Soup Kitchen. So that's Friday. Saturday is food drives, typically once a month at least, and Price Chopper food or bread drop-off occurs on Saturday mornings. So that's all in this building. Then we have a beautiful outdoor. And we have summer months, believe it or not, that we have outside. We put the clothing shed out there a while back, and that has been a mission of our church and a revenue generator for us. And it also provides us with emergency clothing should we need it for anyone in the neighborhood. We have VBS that was outside and in the sanctuary, and our WOW, our worship on Wednesdays, which took place, and we had a lot of fun music outside and everything. And then there was a summer bike ministry that I think we have a special guest here today who was going to kind of tell us about that.
Yeah, I got the idea to go for a bike ride and invited a few of my friends, and that was come on right up here, Linda. Linda Martineau is a member of the Cicero United Methodist Church, and Linda rode the whole bike ride with us this year, 59 miles, right? Is that what 58 miles. And Linda, tell us a little bit about your bicycle. How many speeds do you have on your bike?
None.
Linda has a one-speed Huffy bicycle with big balloon tires like you used to ride. And she rode 58 miles around that lake on that bike. And Linda's going to tell us a little bit about her experience.
more prepared because I was afraid I was going to get nervous and miss something.
Can't
So,
hear you.
the
The microphone closer to your mouth.
Keep the mic
Yep,
closer,
bring it up
mic-
close.
closer? Is that better?
Yep, that's
Okay.
good.
I'm going to talk about the amazing white ministry that comes out of your church. My first attempt at riding around the lake was August 26, 2014, the Journey to Health ride. Riders left Brewerton United Methodist Church about 9 a.m., and I got as far as Toad Harbor Road when I had a flat tire. Someone called for the vehicle that had the compressor to fill my tire, but the compressor had not been charged, so they couldn't fix my tire, so I was out of the ride. When we got home, my husband attempted to fill the tire and discovered there was a puncture hole in it. It must have hit a pothole or something. And fast forward to spring of 2015, there were a group of riders that rode Tuesday nights at 5:30. This time didn't work for me, so I began preparing on my own. I rode in the mornings when the sun was coming up, and I would ride in the evenings as the sun was going down. I watched amazing, beautiful sunrises and sunsets along Bartell and Lakeshore roads. Larry Bishop, a member of our church, told me about a bicycle ride coming again on August 26th, but Pastor Jack didn't want to focus about himself, but on mission work. The ride would be called Around the Lake for Jesus' Sake. We would be collecting school supplies and toiletries for local food pantries around the lake to help those facing financial challenges in the community. We met in the church parking lot about 8 o'clock, and there were support vehicles, drivers, coolers for the picnic lunch in Sylvan Beach, and it brought together over 25 riders in many different faiths, all working together for a common cause of helping the food pantries supply needed school supplies while we exercised and had fun. There were rest stops at various churches with prayer, encouragement, hydration, and sometimes snacks. Yes! Never did I plan on completing the whole ride. I just wanted to go further than I had the year before. With everyone's encouragement, I accomplished the 58 miles in 5 hours and 10 minutes, not including rest stops. And as Jack said, on a 24-inch Huffy coaster bike. We ended the day with a wow service and a covered dish supper. Everyone had a wonderful time together.
Linda is a member of the Cicero United Methodist Church, and we were glad that she joined us that day. We also had folks from a Baptist church, folks from a non-denominational church, folks from a Catholic church. It was like a ecumenical ride all the way around the lake, and we had a lot of fun. And if you're thinking, wow, that sounds interesting, when you go home today on your calendar, turn ahead to August, and on the 26th of this year, write down Around the Lake for Jesus' sake. Because we're going to do it again this year, and we'll probably support food pantries again with school supplies and whatever else we can collect at rest stops around the lake. It's a great day to do ministry. You know, remember when we started the year last year, we adopted this theme about living out our baptismal vows, and this cross has stood here in the front of the church all year long. It's the one that's painted on the hallway. And the way that we live out our baptismal vows as United Methodists is that we support the church in 5 ways. That's what we agree to do. I think it's witness when you pedal around Oneida Lake on your bike. I think it's witness when you bring your turkey to church for Thanksgiving. I think it's witness when you paint a mural on a wall. I think everything that we do is part of witness. All of our prayers, all of our presence, our gifts, and our service, it all boils down to witness. You see, we have agreed as United Methodists and as members of the Brewerton United Methodist Church, that we're going to witness for Jesus Christ in this community and in the world. And I want to thank you for doing that, and that's what we're celebrating today.
Another chair? Where, Mallory?
You want some of this?